Okay, everybody, this is Pratt, and I'm here with Dan Coyle, author of The Culture Code, The Secrets of Highly Effective Groups. And we're going to be talking now about the third core element, the third secret. We've talked about safety and vulnerability. Now we're going to be talking about purpose and the importance for you as leaders to communicate purpose and motivation that the whole team really cares about. And the best example I could see in the book, and that's hard because there's so many good ones, are the surgeons who were trained in a new operation but got dramatically different results depending on purpose. So can you sort of summarize what happened with that?
Yeah, we normally think about purpose as kind of this true north, this thing that comes from the group's heart. And we talk about purpose statements and mission statements. And that stuff is true. I mean, it's definitely true. But there's another element that you see in high performing groups, which is they find ways to create a purpose landscape. And the best story I know about landscape is the one about this group from Mountain Medical. They were part of this large study, and the study was really interesting because they had a new complicated heart procedure, minimally invasive cardiac surgery. And so they had groups from several hospitals. There were two hospitals that stood out. One had great experience in this already. They had great expertise in this already. They were a big city hospital. And the other was this tiny group, Mountain Medical, which didn't have any experience, had young doctors. And if you had to bet on which team would win, would learn it faster and better, you'd probably bet on the big city hospital.
Right.
As it turned out, the opposite was true. After just a few months, the team from Mountain Medical was far faster, far better results, better everything. And when you analyzed the learning process, what you saw was the reason why. When the big city hospital did it, they simply sort of announced it. We're all going to do this. This is a new thing we have to do. And we're all going to do it right now. It was very top-down, authoritarian. The nurses didn't really like doing it. They didn't really enjoy doing it. And as a result, the performance suffered. It was framed as a task.
I love one of the nurses said, "Oh, we have to do another one of these operations. Give me a fresh blade so I can slash my wrists."
Exactly. So it doesn't get any more bad chemistry than that, right? That's just bad chemistry. But over Mountain Medical, you had something very different. You had a young doctor who led things up. The first thing he did is he framed it as a learning process. He said, we're here to learn this so that we can deliver better care. This is an exciting new development. He framed it as a learning. He was really clear about the roles that each person played in the process. They gave really explicit encouragement to speak up. Really, if you see something, say something. I need you to handle this, to be very explicit about that. And finally, they had this active reflection where he actually put a camera on his head and filmed the operation, and they watched the film together. Now,
so everybody there was seeing what he saw. So he was, in a way, really bringing his status down and theirs up.
Exactly. He was really being vulnerable, right? To open up and say that. He flooded the zone with these signals that framed this whole task as a learning project that you have an important role in. And that role consists of you need to speak up, and we're going to reflect on it and talk about it all the time. Completely different result. They ended up learning much faster, much better, with much better results. And after 6 months, I think they finished the operation an hour faster than the other team.
Which is a lifetime in medicine.
Exactly. And so the reason wasn't that they had some purpose radiating from their heart. It was that they had leaders smart enough to know how to signal it. It's a signaling language. Leadership comes down to signaling. And so they were able to signal through very simple, short language and action that this was about something bigger than them, that this was about learning. This was a learning task that they would do together. And so they created this sort of as a leader, you don't try to just sort of say what the purpose is, but you actually have to roadmap it. You actually have to generate really clear metaphors that you put in the windshield of your people to show, here's what we need. Here's where we should go. Here's what we're about. I saw it really vividly at a restaurant. Danny Meyer runs a restaurant, Union Square Cafe, and he's actually opened a ton of world-class restaurants. He behaves almost like a composer, actually, to get into the music world. He's constantly composing these sort of catchphrases, athletic hospitality, the excellence reflex, loving problems. He had one, the cheesiest one is, and I say cheesy with actually a bit of admiration because you will remember this.
Right.
Mistakes are waves and servers are surfers of those waves. So he fills the windshield of his people with his really simple metaphors and ideas and images that define the behaviors he wants. He doesn't just sort of say, hey, we should serve the customer and that's our North Star, everyone should go. No, it's this landscape of signals that he intentionally composes. He unearths these stories and then he puts them in the windshield. And that's what the power is. Because what you're trying to do is guide behavior in a complex world.
And I loved that he has so much in common with the Navy SEALs commander you interviewed, because they're both saying the number one purpose is supporting the other members of the team. I thought that was fascinating. He wasn't putting customer first. He was putting colleagues first and then customers, because I guess what I understood from your story was if they were all supporting each other, the customer got this amazing experience of being in this home environment.
Bingo. That's exactly it. And that's true, not just in the SEALs and the restaurant business, but in most of the places I visited. If you had to rate their value system, and they often did, how we treat each other is at the very top of the list, which seems crazy when you're in the business like restaurant or trying to win basketball games or trying to kill Osama bin Laden.
Right.
How we treat each other. But there's a profound truth buried in there. And that truth is exactly as you said, because by doing that, you create an incredible atmosphere that where every interaction counts. And that's great culture. Great cultures, every interaction counts anyway. But in great cultures, every interaction is positive. Every interaction is reaffirming. There was a moment during the research of the book where it really was crystallized for me. I was with Danny Meyer, who runs these restaurants, and a waiter across the restaurant dropped a tray of glasses. And Danny Meyer stopped talking, and he watched this reaction. I said, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "The energy is either going to go up or it's going to go down." That's what happens when there's a problem. Energy goes up or it goes down. That's human. That's how humans work. If it goes, that means that problem was greeted with a helpfulness and a real sense of connection. And if it goes down, that means that problem was greeted with anger and resentment. And he said, if that energy goes up, I know the culture in this restaurant's strong. If it goes down, that means it's got a problem. Which, we talk about culture as this sort of mysterious, magical thing. It's not. It's that. It's knowing that every interaction counts. It's being smart enough as a leader to look for that, to create that, to define that, to roadmap that, and then to support that through signals of safety, vulnerability, and purpose and direction.
Okay, there we go. There you have it, people. Learn how to lead with the culture code. More later. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, thanks, Pratt.